The winter air in Fitzroy is bitterly cold. The sky overhead is a brilliant pale blue, but an icy Antarctic wind is howling down the streets. Kenji stands outside an old brick corner pub, his breath misting in the freezing air. He watches people walking close to the walls with their heads down, trying to avoid the wind at all costs. He steps inside. The pub is warm, lit by an open fireplace and filled with the mouth-watering scent of melted cheese, roasted garlic, and toasted malt. He sits at a wooden table near the crackling fire, looking relaxed, inspired, and thankfully warm. He glances around at the crowd, taking in the vibrant mix of people, nationalities, and styles, and lets out a contented sigh.
Konnichiwa. Hi everyone, I'm Kenji. I'm 28, and until 2 months ago, I lived and worked in Tokyo. Back home, I was a graphic designer for a massive advertising agency. On paper, it was a dream job, but the reality was exhausting. I was working 14-hour days, sitting under cold fluorescent lights, fixing tiny digital details for corporate clients. I had been living like this for 5 straight years without taking a proper holiday, until one day I realized I had hit a wall. I felt completely burnt out and had lost my creative spark. A mentor suggested I take a sabbatical and travel somewhere with a thriving design culture. She recommended Melbourne. I was a bit skeptical at first. I mean, taking a sabbatical is not really the done thing in Japan. But I was desperate. I booked a ticket, and here I am. On Saturday afternoon, I decided to explore Fitzroy, a neighborhood famous for street art, fashion, and historic pubs. When I left my hotel, the winter sun was shining brightly. I was having a brilliant time wandering down the backstreets with my camera, taking photos of the incredible, colorful murals painted across the old brick warehouses. But while there wasn't a single rain cloud in sight, the Melbourne winter cold caught me completely off guard. By 4 o'clock, a freezing wind swept through the lanes. My ears were burning from the cold, and my fingers had gone completely numb. I couldn't hold my camera properly anymore. I desperately needed somewhere warm to hide from the wind. I spotted a glowing amber light coming from a historic corner pub called the Napier Hotel. I pushed open the door and stepped inside. It was like stepping into another era. Wooden paneling, vintage art on the walls, a roaring open fireplace, and locals chatting happily over drinks. I sat down near the fire to warm up, and the bartender noticed I was shivering. He smiled and said,
"Mate, you look frozen solid. You need a proper Melbourne pub feed. Get yourself a Parma."
"A Parma?" I said. I had no idea what he was talking about. I must have looked stunned too, so luckily he explained.
It's short for chicken parmesan. Crumbed chicken schnitzel topped with rich tomato sauce, smoked ham and melted cheddar cheese, served with hot chips and salad.
"Right," I said. "Why not? You gotta eat like the locals do, right?" When the plate arrived at my table, I couldn't believe the size of it. It was rich, crunchy, and hit the spot instantly after being out in the freezing wind. As I sat there by the fire, eating this incredible comfort food and watching local artists debate design ideas at the bar, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, totally relaxed. In Tokyo, I would have been checking my work emails or worrying about deadlines. But sitting in that cozy Melbourne pub, I realized my creative energy was finally returning. It turns out that stepping out into that freezing winter afternoon was the best thing that could have happened to me. Sometimes, getting lost in the cold is the only way to find the warmth you're really looking for.